What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Watching Paint Dry here on Another Letdown. My name is Zach from Another Letdown Media, and the This Is Difficult video game podcast, currently on hiatus. And this is the show where we hang out after we should have thought about going to bed on a Saturday night and work through the ridiculous backlog of miniatures that we've accumulated over the years that require painting. There's an old adage that says if a miniatures painter ever runs out of projects to paint, he or she will die. So we're just trying to stave off death for as long as we possibly can, because that's definitely how that works logically. And joining me on the line, well, we've our resident monkey handler has taken some time off, which of course means one of our monkeys has gotten out of captivity. Joining me on the line, it's our Bonzi buddy, Greg. How's it going?
How's it going, Zach?
Well, I had a massive anxiety attack this afternoon, so, you know, better now.
You coming down off that?
Yeah, I don't know. It was super strange. Like, I was having a great morning and everything was going well. And then, like, my wife left for work and I just froze. I was like, I don't know how to dad anymore. Like, everything just left my head. So I got that all sorted out and, you know, got my daughter fed and, you know, bathed and put to bed. And it took her like 2 hours to go down, which was miserable. I was like, that's actually why we're late. But say again.
So they do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like and she wasn't like upset or anything. She was just like, no, I'm just going to sit in my crib and dance. And I was like, okay, this is strange. I'm going to go quietly eat dinner and see what happens. But you know, she pulled it out and she's fine. She's snoozing away, cuddling her blankie now. So, anyway, we're painting. We're back. I chose something very simple today. I've chosen the Talon from DC Comics, the villain. Pretty excited about that. I got a reference photo up, and Greg's working right where he left off last time. It looks like Greg doesn't paint much. But yeah, we're excited to have you back, buddy. I'm sure we'll chit chat about Gen Con a whole bunch because it was a blasty. You and I got up to some shenanigans. As with all the shows that we host here on the channel, we believe in civil rights for absolutely everyone and being as inclusive as possible. So any comments or activity actively working against that goal are not welcome and will not be tolerated. Let's paint. Here we go. Yeah. So how are you?
Doing good. Work has been a challenge the last couple of days. We've had too many people out.
Oh,
and we lost
gross.
internet for 2 days.
Whoa! That's no bueno.
We're supposed to have a backup where we switch from Comcast to AT&T, and apparently no one ever reset that up.
Oh no!
So
That
instead
sucks.
of never going down, we were completely dead in the water for 2 days.
Oof. That's no good.
No.
Yeah. So, oddly enough, I've been dealing with internet problems too. So we discovered that fiber internet is like way better than whatever Spectrum was giving us. Go figure.
Right.
And so we set it all up. They had to like do a whole bunch of stuff in our yard and to our house to make it happen. But we did it. And then I was like, oh, well, I guess it's time for me to cancel Spectrum. Well, Spectrum was like, no, we don't want you to cancel. So they slashed their price by over 50%. But I was like, yeah, okay, that's all well and good, but I'm still paying marginally more than that for double the speed you're offering me. Like, offer me faster speed, then we can talk.
Right? I mean, if that had been your price to begin with, then maybe we would be having this conversation.
Right.
But
exactly. So I was like, this is just absurd. But here we are. You know, I'm struggling to find the right color here. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start by just painting the whole thing black. This is not Max Darth black. This is just regular old black. Because that's what the Talon is. He's like an elite ninja dude with frost powers. Because he's dead. And even though I've primed the mini black, I want to flatten it out a little bit. So that's where we're going to start. Whole thing black. Big old brush. LFG. Yeah, I go back to work on Tuesday this week. Gen Con is always like the harbinger of back to work for me.
Yeah. So you must not be on a balanced schedule then.
No, I am not. Jacqueline was trying to explain it to me, and I was like, that sounds stupid, and I don't like it. No, we just, like... Our school calendar is actually pretty reasonable. And I think part of that is due to the sheer amount of snow days and stuff that we get throughout the year.
Because, that's a thing where you live.
Yes, it very much is. I had to remind Ness recently because like we're trying very hard to get Adam to PAX Unplugged.
Yes.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, we could come up to Vermont and New Hampshire afterward." I'm like, "Please remember that that's Vermont and New Hampshire during pseudo pre-winter."
Yeah, it should be winter by that point, but who knows?
Yeah, right. It hasn't been for the last several years. I think they'll probably be fine, but I was like, just be aware. Like the weather could turn in any direction at any moment. As much as I would love to host you guys for a little while, and for reasons like that they are aware already, and other people, I will not be at Gen Con next year, so there's I would relish the opportunity to spend time with them, especially outside of a convention environment. It's just something you got to be aware of. So yeah, it's I think that's why we but also trying to make that change now would be so difficult, especially in my district where it is 9 schools feeding into one high school.
They kind of just said, we're just going to do this district wide and just made it a thing.
Yeah.
And then the high school this year is trying out block scheduling, which...
Oh, that's what we did when I was in high school. It's on paper, it's kind of miserable. But in practice, it ends up, as from a teaching perspective, it actually ends up really, really nice because you actually get done what you want to get done.
Right, it gives you more time to dig into a lesson.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm doing with my 8th graders this year, and I've definitely told you, but I don't know how much I've talked about it on stream. We're building an arcade machine. In a 45-minute block, we're barely going to have enough time to get the materials out.
Right, you're going to get your tools out, get them warmed up, and then
have to dismiss them. So, I mean, my solution to that is, I see 8th grade first thing in the morning. I can just get it out early, but that sucks. It sucks to have to do that, because I want to give them the opportunity to show some responsibility and manage their own tools. But here we are. I forgot my beverage. I'm going to be right back.
Beverage just walked away.
Okay, that's better.
More kombucha?
Oh, always. But it's one my wife had left over from the last time she bought kombucha, and it's not great.
Oh no.
It's Guava Goddess, which is it's fine. It's just not what I prefer. I tend to she prefers the less kind of in your face flavors. By the way,
yeah,
whatever you're painting is decidedly not on camera. You have to keep your hands way lower.
Yeah.
There. Okay. All right, so I need like a grayish, like a gray-brown hybrid-y situation. I know I have a color like that, but I think it's Citadel. Definitely not TT Combat. So TT Combat released... Actually, I sent you on a fool's errand, and I apologize for that. They released Wave 2, and I was like, oh man, I need Greg to go find where they are so I can get Wave 2. And they didn't even have it with them.
No, they did not.
I was like, oh no, I'm sorry. I went myself because like I trust you, but I was like, oh, I happen to be here. I'm going to ask about it. And they're like, yeah, we don't have it in stock yet. I'm like, okay, that makes it easy. At least I'm not spending money I don't have.
Right.
I left Gen Con with like, I didn't spend a penny. Like it was. I bought some new brushes. I bought these Phalanx brushes from Game Envy, and for the price of for what I paid for 8 brushes, 10 brushes, that was less than half of what I paid for the Games and Gears brushes last year. Now they serve a different purpose, so that's fine, but that says a lot. I know why I'm not finding the color I'm looking for. I think. Wait, no, it's. Yep, here it is. Stormlight. Is it Stormlight? I swear I had one that was a base color. This is the problem I haven't. Oh, hello, Mr. Bruise guy. Hello, how are you? And RPD. RPD's here too. At least I didn't spend money I don't have. You mean you've yet to spend that money you don't have? Correct. I am definitely just delaying the inevitable, but that's fine. Shut up, RPD.
Shh. Yeah, being right next to the Renegade Studios booth and watching all the Hero stuff at the corner of my eye.
So,
like, oh.
Question though for you. I didn't see them restock their inventory once. Do you think it was actually moving very well?
Yes.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They rebuilt it every day.
Well, okay. All right. Because it just didn't seem like it was selling the way that I expected it to. Maybe I had too lofty expectations for it. You and I are both like on different levels, but we are both fans of the HeroScape system. I expected it to go over like gangbusters.
Yeah.
But I also recognize the fact that yeah, okay. So Bruise Guy says the same thing. It didn't seem to be moving as fast as we kind of expected it to. But also I recognize the fact that that's a lot to carry around. Like you buy some of that. You're in for a penny, you're in for a pound on that.
Or if you buy a master set, that's a whole bag to itself.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see ordering, like, being like, oh, that's neat. Order it online later.
Yeah. Because they had codes.
I was going to say, I thought I saw QR codes kind of everywhere. Okay, I'm still struggling to find this one color, so I'm just going to go with the Storm Vermin for even though it's not exactly what I'm looking for. Oh, okay. How's it going, John?
Now the question is, which John?
I love that I just spent all this time looking for a color of paint, and this one's completely bollocked. The one whose spouse is your boss. I knew that. I knew that. How did I know that? And you didn't, Greg.
Well, I know too many Johns.
I do know a lot of Johns. That is a very fair assessment, but I assumed as much.
Also, that's just, it's one of those, this circle of geeks here in Indiana is just too small.
Fair. And RPD, the one we blame is Migrant Pate. Hashtag blame John is Migrant Pate. Who I haven't talked to. Well, I mean, I've like been privy to conversations with him, but not talked to. Okay, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm just making my own color. Like, this is ridiculous. The tiny button.
Problem with having too big of a color library.
Well, no, it's just like the one, like I found the one I needed. It was dried up or like congealed. Even worse, right? Get out of here, black. I don't need you anymore. So we're gonna go a little bit of brown or gray and a little bit of brown. Not that one. Oh, here's my browns. Oh, trench mud. Yes, perfect. That somehow has a random satellite on the other end of the world. Yep. It's not that small anymore, RPD. We got to hang out with Feralis.
Yes, that was freaking cool.
That was so cool. She is wonderful. She did some work with Adam and me briefly. And her husband is pretty dope too. Shout out to them.
But if she comes back next year, absolutely happy to give her a tour of the city. So if you're coming that far just for Gen Con, there's lots to do outside of Gen Con.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've been coming to Gen Con. Russ pointed out this morning that I've been coming to Gen Con for, like, the better part of a decade at this point. Because I think the post he made was my third Gen Con. I think, which means... Is it 2014? No, can't have been 2014. So it must have been 2015. I don't know. It doesn't matter. 9 years or so, and I have never actually seen Indianapolis. Like, the closest I've ever come was the concert we've been to. Oh, well, no, we did go to Sushi... whatever.
Sushi Club.
Sushi Club.
Yeah.
That one time.
And you went to Tappers a couple of times.
Yeah, but Tappers is also a nerd establishment. Like, it's not that far removed from what we're doing anyway. All right, it's just this one. All right, what am I painting? Have you seen the wellspring of joy that is Gary, Indiana? Yes, RPD, I've seen The Music Man. We don't talk about Gary.
Leave Gary alone, little stugger.
Alright, what are we doing here? We're going... Alright, here we are, 21 minutes into the stream, and I'm doing my first touch of color on this model.
Hey, you're the one that chose to paint an all-black guy.
I did. I wanted something easy, and I've been doing a lot of Marvel stuff lately. I wanted something DC. I'm doing a distinctly different style on the Marvel stuff that I am on DC. So, like, I'm going for a very... Hold on, I'll get to those chat things in just a second. I'm going for a very, like, Arkham Asylum look for my Gotham City Chronicles minis. There was a moment there where Adam and I were both considering just offloading all our Gotham City Chronicles because we've got STLs that'll just be better. These minis are kind of crap. Adam just got Season 3 in and he's like, I don't want it. Why did I buy this thing? And I was like, haha. My pledge didn't go through.
There's lots of great 3D artists out there.
There really are, and they deserve more work. Like, but also, like, I've got plenty of things to paint. I don't need any more. Okay, so let's see. Have you seen Erie, Indiana? That's the next question on this Jeopardy category. Seen it? I am aware of it. Let's put it that way. And then the new Ghostbusters movie is god awful. I'm just now getting a chance to watch it. I have not seen either of the new Ghostbusters movies. I should say any of them. The only ones I've seen are the first two with the original cast. And that is largely because I have a child. I don't watch things anymore. Speaking of How's she holding up? Oh, she's fast asleep. Okay, great. Hooray for video baby monitors.
Yeah. That stuff is definitely improved.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a minute since you've had
little ones. Yeah.
The minis can't be the worst of this SFG Kickstarter. Hey, Remote Arrow, what's up? I'm watching Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. There's a show that exemplifies good artmanship. RPD, I was watching Cats Does Countdown last night, which, Greg, you would love. 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. It's a very, very funny British panel show.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show.
Oh, you've seen it? Okay, good. And they had Richard Iowati on, and he and Jonathan Ross were going head-to-head on, like, obscure movie trivia. And 2 out of the 3 questions came right out of Richard Iowati's book, and Jimmy Carr didn't realize it. And then Jimmy's like introductory roast said something, made a joke about Paddington 2 being like the pinnacle of filmmaking, and Richard Iowati goes, "I was in Paddington 2. You think I don't know that movie?" And Jimmy like pulls out his phone and IMDb's him. It was pretty legendary. I was very fond of that episode. It was a shame though, because like Rachel Riley was out, John Richardson was out, Sean Locke is dead. Boy, that's a thing that hurts to say. So it wasn't like, other than that, it wasn't a stellar episode, but Jonathan Ross is always classic.
Still say Carrot in the Box is one of the funniest things.
Carrot in a Box is so good. Oh my god. Yes, Bruce Guy. It is the same show as Carrot in a Box. I'm waiting. So, okay. I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on for a second here. I am obsessed with British panel shows. I absolutely love it. Oh, right on. Over there. I absolutely love them. Taskmaster being my favorite. Cats Does Countdown, probably number 2. Although Would I Lie to You is also absolutely legendary. Shortly after her stint on Taskmaster, Lucy Beaumont divorced John Richardson's butt. And they have they have their sitcom Meet the Richardsons, which of course that's indefinitely on hiatus for sure. And then very shortly, right around the same time, she launched a podcast with Sam Campbell. So my conspiracy theory mind is like, really? And like, I wouldn't be surprised. John's a miserable old curmudgeon. Like, I'm surprised she dealt with him for that long. But I was like, oh, that's very interesting timing, Lucy. But yeah, British panel show. Now, Zach, I must ask you, have you read the 2 Garth Marenghi books that manifested in the real world? No, I have not. I did pick up. Okay. Oh, this was fun. I went to. Well, okay. This is a smaller part of a longer story, but I ended up at a bookstore yesterday that I didn't intend to be at, but they had the Mythical Cookbook on sale for 50% off and 60% off if you were a member. And I have the teacher membership, which is free, and it entitles me to an additional 20% off. So I got the Mythical Cookbook for 80% off yesterday. I was pretty proud of myself.
Right? You should be.
The longer part of that story is I had to run. So there was a Comic-Con in Boston last week, Wicked Comic-Con. because of course it's called Wicked Comic Con. Honestly, it's on par with your Hoosier Con as far as just ridiculous puns. And my friend picked up Iron Fist numbers 1 and 2 for me by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. She got both of them for $128, which is very, very good. And she allowed me to just transfer her some store credit, so I got them for nothing.
You still have store credit,
dude. I still have like $4,000. Yeah, no joke. Like I will have store credit for quite some time because I don't use it. Like, you know, well, that's another bigger part of a bigger story, and we'll get to that in a minute. But so my friend was at a con this weekend down in Connecticut called Terrificon, which is a dumb name. We agreed last night on the stream that it should be just Con, which is maybe just like the special guest is Daniel Ocean every year, but that's beside the point.
Con, where does that name sound familiar?
Kineticon?
No, something more close to our chests.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, I think that was a U edition though. Like that was a U improv. That's not written in the module. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I flew down to Concord yesterday to get them, much to my wife's dismay because, you know, I had been napping when the text came through that they were in my folder. And I was like, really? Like, Megan put them in my folder and then buggered off to Canada, making me have to come down and get them? Jesus Christmas. So I did it. And Katie was like, all right, well, while you're down there, why don't you order pizza from the Good Pizza restaurant? I was like, all right, yeah, I bet. I'll do that. And so, of course, it's a Friday night. You know, pizza restaurants are backed up. So They were like, well, you're going to have to wait a bit. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the bookstore. I go to the bookstore. I pick up that. And I also found there's a novel of Jessica Jones stuff that I was really excited about. So I picked that up as well. So I basically bought the Mythical Cookbook and got that Jessica Jones novel for free is what ended up happening.
Neat.
And anyway, turns out the Chris Claremont line to get the Iron Fist book signed today was heinous, and I was like, yeah, Tim, it's not worth your time. Don't worry about it. $15 and one signature is not, that's not, just don't even worry about it. Just forget it.
Yeah, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah, I was like, nah, forget it. You're only down there for one day and you're with your wife. Like, don't waste time on me. That's too much to ask. So yeah, I'm not upset about it. It's totally fine. And I need blue. Yeah, that's cool. Blue gray. We'll use it. Lighten it up a little bit though. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. It's not important. I am gonna need some metal at some point, and I want to use Green Stuff World Metallics for that. Which means I need to find... Wow, they're right in front of me and I can't see... Oh, they're way up here at the top. Anthrax metal. That's different. Actually, that is... Is that... No. Quicksilver? Yeah, that'll do. The nice thing about the tabletop combat, the TT combat paints, is they are like most of their wave 2 is metallics, which I already have from Green Stuff World, so I just like, I don't care. Looks like his... Okay, this is cool. Oh, this is cool. needless to say, I'm really excited to read these Iron Fist issues. I read number 4 recently, and I was astonished that modernly, the kung fu stuff is just like wildly misrepresented. I have a buddy who studies kung fu pretty extensively, and he was just like, this is awful. Like it doesn't, it's not even respectful to the discipline.
I can see how that would be possible.
Yeah, oh absolutely, because it's a very commercialized
artists and writers versus someone who's actually studied it.
Right. But you'd think that they'd at least put some effort into like understand what it's like, the tenets of kung fu, the discipline. Kyle identified some, Kyle, you've met, or you've played Arkham with him a couple times.
Yep.
Yeah, he identified some just key areas where they could very easily just rewrite a couple things and have it line up at least better. And I said, well, it is comic books. They're churned out very quickly without a whole lot of time for research and development. And he's like, yeah, I get that, but maybe put a little bit into it. And I was like, yeah, no, I agree. I think you're correct. But it's interesting to me that the old comics were much more reverent toward that. And I said, it was much less about absurd action violence as it is about like very specific problem solving and sort of inner discipline. And he's like, wow, I need to give that a read now. So
yeah, go back and look at some of the older issues.
Yeah. And of course we saw a leaked trailer for Daredevil Born Again this week, which I am of multiple minds about.
You say that's your favorite. How you feeling?
No, I mean, like, in general, I'm very stoked. But there's a couple of things that I'm like, really? You're okay? You're gonna go that way with it? That's fine. But maybe be careful with it, is all. RPD says he has some thoughts. Anxiously awaiting those. RPD thoughts are always worth paying attention to.
So there's random lore too.
So at the top of the stream, we alluded to some shenanigans that Greg and I got into during Gen Con. So it's pretty publicly regarded that well, they're calling it Born Again. So I'll come back to this. They're calling it Daredevil Born Again, so I presume they're adapting the Frank Miller stuff, but who knows with Marvel. It could be something original, and that's fine too. I know there's Mayor of New York stuff in there too. Just coming off the back of Hawkeye and Echo, which, by the way, I really liked Echo. Storybooking martial arts fight scenes is in the lab is if you want the focus to be on the action, then the level of choreography detailing is one artist worst nightmares on the deadline. Yes, correct. Yeah, no, 100% correct. So Greg and I are several of the GTG demo or the Flat River Group demoers who are notorious for working every possible shift we are allowed to work.
Yep.
For reasons, there are, like, I am allowed to work slightly more different shift, a different number. I shouldn't say slightly more, a different type of shifts than Greg.
Type of shift.
It is what it is. Whatever, fine. So I end up working like, if untethered, I will work like almost 60 hours in the weekend, which is insane. It is well documented that I am a crazy person. So Greg and I, before the show, said, all right, we're not going to do that this time. And we went to a concert instead.
It just happened to be right there.
Yeah, it was like
one
one of my favorite bands, literally like around the corner from the convention center. Yeah, let's do that thing, and we did, and it was wonderful. And we both agreed like this is something we should do moving forward. Like it is,
especially if they're gonna have concerts right there.
Yeah,
let's just see who's there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if there's nobody we're interested in, then like, yeah, we'd rather work. But like, it was such a cool brain break.
Yes,
we've done that before. That sort of thing before at PAX, where we have like an ice cream party or something. But the difference between PAX and Gen Con is, Gen Con we have stuff going on, literally from the time the plane lands to the time the plane takes off the next at the end of the weekend. Like, where PAX, at least for Alex and Sammy and me, is our local show. We traditionally stay with Alex's aunt, which is a 20-minute drive. Yeah, it's like a 20-minute drive away from the con. As much as having a hotel is also wonderful, I'd rather just stay with relatives. Like it's just so
she's
relaxing.
An amazing lady.
Oh yeah, no, she's great and loves us to pieces. Like, shout out Alex's aunt, great aunt, I believe.
She has no idea what's going on, but she's just happy to have us there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. She loves. We were playing Arkham Horror one night, and she was just like hovering over, like trying desperately to understand what the game was. We're like, you're not. It's. We love you, but you're not gonna get it. We've been playing this game together for how long? Like, how many years now? And we're moving so fast that, like, even Jacqueline has trouble keeping up at some points.
Yes,
because Sammy and Alex and I just know that game like the back of our heads. People would come up to actually Bruise Guy. I think you were there when someone came up behind. Or it was talking to me about Arkham Horror, and I was like, yeah. I haven't lost Arkham Horror in like up until this most recent time. We hadn't lost Arkham Horror in years. But Jacqueline decided to be a wild card and waste 4 turns trying to become a cult member.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like, it works against most baddies. But H-Man is different. Like, she chose that she wanted to fight H-Man, and we're like, are you sure? Because that's a really, really, really long game. Like, that is not a short game. Yes. Okay, so you were privy to that conversation. H-Man requires additional clues beyond just the 5 needed to close the gate. It becomes 8 instead. So you run out of clues on the board really fast. And so when you have one player just dirtling around doing things that are not progressing the story, you just run out of you get overwhelmed. And that's exactly what happened. And I called it. I was like, Jacqueline, we need you to do something useful. Like, this is not helpful. And Alex goes, just let her do her thing. I'm like, I don't think we win this game if she's just dirtling around at the Silver Twilight Lodge. Like, oh dear.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's not it's so rare to get clues there too.
Right. No, you can.
You can, but it's rare.
Yeah.
That until we realized that the Arkham app has the same shuffle every time.
Well, yes, yeah. But there's a new app that I'm testing. I found it on Board Game Geek, and it is some guy who has, from the ground up, with a graphic user interface. Like, it is not a joke. This app is beastly. But he needs to get the expansion. I will, but he needs to get the expansions in it before we can use it.
Yeah.
And I told him you need at least to get the Dark Pharaoh stuff, because without it, it's unusable. Like, he's got all the characters in, I guess if I had to say it one way or another, he prioritized the wrong stuff. He put characters in and like a whole bunch of like, you can literally run the game without the game. But I'm
Wow,
like, but what we need is the cards. Like the cards are the difficult part. So I gave him that feedback, and I'm like, I will continue to look at it. I like what you've done. It's beautiful. But we really need the expansion content in there. And like I also said, we play this game on stream fairly regularly, or we used to. This is the kind of thing that would get it back to the stream, with more regularity. So if you can make this happen, we will happily put it in an overlay, and you'll see your app on stream. It'll make things look really nice.
Right. But with Tabletop Simulator, you can do that.
Right. And I said, but until you get that, it can't happen. So I'm glad that someone's working on it. That makes me very, very happy. But it's got a long way to go before it's ready.
Yeah, I introduced my D&D group. They're like, grab along games. We have something to do.
Well,
after the event hall closes. I'm like, all right, I got you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I really wanted to play with you guys, but like, I got called on shift like as you guys were going to get it. So, like,
well, that was for Fate. That was for Fate.
Oh, that's right. But even so, like, yeah, I wanted to play Fate with you guys really, really badly. But like, I'd forgotten my water bottle. I went back to the show floor, got my water bottle, and by the time I got out, I had people beckoning me to come on shift. So yeah, I had to go.
And our third guy got lost in the Indians game traffic, who were trying to navigate him to the parking garage.
Oh, there was a lot going on in that block that weekend.
Right?
Like, holy monkeys. Concerts, they had literally concerts every single night.
Yep. And in Indians games, at least 2 of the 3.
I want to say it was 3 or 4, if you include Wednesday.
But don't worry, they picked up your slack. They started immediately cursing the living.
I saw that. That was the compile night?
That was probably the compile night, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that was the event that I was, well. So did I tell you the story about that?
That you beat Christopher? Or?
Well, the story did not end there.
And what Paul did to you?
Yes. But also,
yeah, I saw the aftermath of that.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you did or not. So, my opponents. So, when we were setting that event up, it was intended to be, like, learn to play on the sides and just casual play on the back. What that ended up, nobody bothered to communicate that with Christopher or Chris. So what it ended up being is Ryan and I playing against Christopher and Braithwaite at 2 of the Learn to Play tables pretty much all night long. And while hilarious, I don't think anybody learned how to play Compile that night. So eventually I stood up. Eventually I was like, okay, I need to... Paul has been pouring drinks into me for the last several hours. I need to move around. I got up and promptly tripped over Adam.
Oh no.
Which, it's Adam. It was fine. He's like, how many have you had? I'm like, I don't know, because every time I look around, Paul has replaced it.
I've had 1. That just
as far as I know, I've had 1. And he goes, okay, let's go play Valor. I was like, yes, let's go play Valor. That was the night we played with Feralis. Poor Feralis got the full Zach drunk experience.
Oh, neat.
It was, I mean, the only thing I could equivocate it to remote error was that scene in Thor and Doctor Strange. I think it's both. Yeah, it must be both. Where Thor's like, would you like a cup of tea? I don't drink tea. What do you drink? And then he gets the never-ending beer glass.
Yeah.
That's what Paul had done to me. Paul is a bad influence. I've known Paul for a long time now.
He's a sneaky bad influence.
He is a very sneaky bad influence. The story of how it came about, like, Paul is, I consider Paul my friend. He came up to me right before the Compile launch party started. They had just wheeled the mobile bar in, and Christopher had handed us all, drink tickets. And Paul goes, did everybody get their drink tickets? And we were like, well, yes, we got a drink ticket. Thank you, Paul. And he goes, great, don't use them. And Ryan and I look at each other like, what? And he goes, I got you. It's fine. And I'm like, yeah, sure.
And you have Paul's manners was down pat when you said that too.
Yeah. I am pretty adept at impersonating vendors. So having played D&D with Emily throughout most of the pandemic, I got a face full of Matt shirtless
Matt
a lot
all the time.
But we would see, I could hear Matt gaming off to the side, so I every once in a while I would just randomly impersonate Matt, and it would make everybody laugh. And I found over the years that the more I do conventions with Paul, the more I become like Paul when I get back to my classroom later. So the students can always tell when I've been to a convention because I start talking like a vendor. And they're like, you need to slow down and be less, be less of this. I'm like, well, okay, yes, that's probably true. But Paul also needs to slow down and be less of this.
Yes. Yeah, I will say for this Gen Con, that was kind of missed.
What do you mean?
Just the more family feel to the staff.
Okay, I don't know that I agree with you on that because, well, okay, no, I do agree with you on that, but I also disagree. And I'm going to be a little more specific here. Toward Oblivion, and a little bit after, just pre-acquisition, the people who we have been demoing with for years and years and years and have become quite close with, you, me, Jacqueline, Russ, the people we have worked with, have had more and more responsibilities.
Yeah.
And suddenly they don't. So this year, and I think Bruce Guy was here for that as well, Paul got to sit down and play a game of Defenders of the Realm with us. He genuinely got to play a game. And that I haven't seen in years and years and years and years.
Yeah, especially Paul.
So it's there. It's just there in a different way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I want to see if I can make our ice cream party from PAX come to Gen Con in some way.
Jacqueline and I have been talking about that too. We're not sure how to implement it because it's an after hours thing, and there is for us and for Adam and Kaylee and for others, there is no after hours. Really. Because when I'm done, I go find Adam and we test Valor.
Yep.
That's, and then we do that until we go to bed. For Jacqueline, it's hang out with, blanking on names, redhead.
Her Alex.
Oh wow, I'm blanking on everybody's name all of a sudden. The Matt Bender crew, his friends, and good. Alex is playing Arkham, usually in the competitive rooms. we all kind of do our separate things at Gen Con, which is... Here I was predicting your shutdown of Ice Cream Party, but me and Adam have the others are adults now and have to watch our blood sugar. Bro, RPD, Greg's way older than I am. Like, no, actually, you know what? We did have ice cream during one of the Valor tests. We were testing Valor. It was the last night, and one of the hotel workers came around and brought us like freebie passes to the concession stand at the hotel, and we're like, okay, cool, let's all go buy ice cream, I guess. And we bought little, like, we didn't go the full pint like we did at PAX Unplugged, but you know, we did the little ones. Oh, perfect. This is a very strange model to paint. Like, it's just going to be base coat, ink wash, done. And I'm about it. Like,
yeah, sometimes you just need an easy model.
Yeah. There's going to be pretty much no highlight. There might be a little bit of highlighting on, like, the shoulders and stuff, but it's really going to be easy. It's actually probably the same brush, just actually managed properly. So Greg, I asked if you wanted to join in next week on painting as well, and you were like, oh, I may have a thing, and I realized, oh, I have a thing too. I'm going to see something corporate next weekend.
Oh, sweet.
Yes, I'm very excited. First tour for them in 20 years.
Yeah, there's a pop culture convention, a little bit of Comic-Con, but more YouTube stars and other pop culture things.
Okay.
And they've been doing well enough here in India. They branched out to the next big city, which is Louisville. And they're like, hey, you should bring the board game library down. And I'm like, you know what? Sure.
That's cool. That's actually cool.
Yeah.
I found out, okay, here's a random thing. Do you ever realize that someone was at Gen Con and you probably interacted with them, but you don't find out about it until like a year later?
Yes.
Because Smosh was there last year. And I guarantee I interacted with them at some point around the con. Because of something that they mentioned. And I was like, oh, I wasn't watching Smosh at that point, so I have no idea. Like, I wouldn't have had any perspective as to who they are now.
Who you
but
are,
like,
right?
Now, like, they were also at PAX East, and I didn't, like, I am aware of what Damian Haas looks like, and I was like, well, I was looking for him the whole show, and I never saw him. But I guarantee I saw him at Gen Con last year. He had bright purple hair, and I was like, I wouldn't have known you from Adam, which is a bad name to choose because I know several Adams at Gen Con, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Bruise Guy says, when is PopCon Louisville?
It is next weekend.
Yeah. Next Saturday.
Thursday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Nice.
Where exactly at, I'm not entirely sure because I'm not familiar with Louisville.
Fair enough. Now that's Kentucky. That's how long a drive is that?
2-ish hours.
Oh wow, it's really close.
Yeah.
My once you get past like Ohio, my sense of geography just plummets. Because like I'm so used to, the Northeast where everything is just so close.
Well, it's right because the states are small.
Mm. Yeah, Thanks, Greg. We don't even reminded of how small we are. There it is.
As someone who's driven clean through Texas, that
sounds miserable. I mean, merely being in Texas sounds miserable. Driving through it sounds even worse.
Yeah, a friend was in a bad situation. It's like, hey, I need an out. And I'm like, you know what?
I got you.
I've got a spare room. Let's go. Packed up some supplies, drove straight through down to San Antonio, and then slept for like 4 hours and drove back.
Ugh.
I know we made it home because I'm stalking you right now, but from the Illinois border to here, I have no idea what happened.
Good gosh. All right, we got pouches. We got pouches, my friend.
Yay, pouches.
Go, Rob Liefeld. Matt Brown. 5 games next week. Yeah, that's a day drive mentality. Yeah. I mean, so like a day drive for me would get me like, boy. My parents are coming up from North Carolina right now. They were down in Brody's neck of the woods for a week and change, and that is an East Coast day drive. They left at like 5 o'clock this morning, and they are due home by midnight. Now, part of that is the major city traffic. You've got multiple cities. You got DC. You've got Baltimore. You've got, depending on where you go, you might have like Philly or whatever. And of course, you've got New York City, Boston, Hartford. You know, the big ones up the East Coast as well. Where in the Midwest, you don't have that to the same extent.
Yeah, there's large empty spaces of driving.
Right.
The occasional little small town where you have to slow down.
Right. Other than that, it's basically just the Autobahn.
Yeah, it's just cornfield. Hey, look, a soybean field. Cornfield. Oh, look, a tree.
Yeah. Rod Clausen and I were talking recently about, you know, the idea of a high-speed transcontinental rail system, which, like, let's be real here, that would be dope.
Not even just transcontinental, just inner city.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, think about getting from New York to LA, you know, in an afternoon.
Right.
That would be
even
so
then,
cool.
that's a large distance.
Yeah, it's a huge distance.
Oops.
But it's perfectly doable. Like it's not unfeasible. All right. So here's what I'm going to do next. I want to. He's got like shoulder plates and stuff. I'm going to do a really, really, really dark gray with a little bit of brown in. Well, I mean, okay, that's not entirely true. Michigan to Tennessee 2 days. Dang. RPD says there's nobody, you know, no actual cities in Denmark that anybody knows. People know Copenhagen. But yeah, like, I know what you're saying. I understand the point of what you're saying. Like, I'll go with a bigger brush here. Hey, Dutchie, what's up? Always good to see your name pop up in chat. All of my like mid-range brushes have just degraded to the point where I can't use them. Yeah, no, it's not usable. This is why I bought new brushes, but I'm like hesitant to break into them because I'm such a loser. Like I'm looking, they're right in front of me. They're right here. I'm physically touching them, but I don't want to use them because they're so
But if
pristine.
you use them now, you won't have them for the boss fight later.
Exactly. Copenhagen is basically boxed off in such a way to ensure that no one will ever see any other town. Yes, correct. Yeah, that's more or less what I was thinking as well. Like Copenhagen is very much in a similar way to like a major theme park in that it's so its own thing that they go out of their way to keep it that way. Oh, come on. Like the eye line is never broken. Yes. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know if this is, just my knowledge of that part of Europe, or if that is, you and me having talked many times, RPD, about Copenhagen. Oh, that's the perfect gray. Oh my God, I did it, Greg. Did it. It's like just barely off black. In most major theme parks, you can get away with a bit of driving, and you can reach the smaller parks living off crumbs. RPD, was it you that sent me or was it maybe it was Miss Drake that sent the video about Marineland? Because, good gosh, that place is special.
What is this?
Marineland. It is a theme park is not the right word. It is the shell of what was a theme park. That was Miss Drake. Okay. What was a theme park on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. It came under fire. Well, it has come under fire many, many times for mistreatment of the animals that they have there. Basically, it's real bad. And recently it's come under new management, and everybody's like, oh great, they'll get rid of the mistreated animals, and they'll revitalize the rides and really turn it into a park. Nope, they did exactly the opposite of that. They shut down all the rides and doubled down on their abused animals.
Boo.
And so my friend Megan, who I mentioned earlier, bought me the Iron Fist comics. She's on her way to North Bay, Ontario, or actually, I guess she's there now, with her eldest, to visit their friend. And she stopped in Niagara. I was like, oh, go visit Marineland. Because she was like looking for things to do. And she's like, what's Marineland? I'm like, it's a theme park. And Ian goes, no, it's not. It's not that. Don't go to Marineland. Marineland real bad. And I was like, Ian, why do you ruin my fun? Getting Megan to do miserable things is a point of joy for me.
You're a good friend.
Only the best. I mean, how many times have I pulled that on you, too? Like,
yes.
They say entertainment, and Alex more specifically, they say entertainment bargains don't exist anymore. I firmly disagree. If you're not finding entertainment bargains, you're not friends with the right people. Oh, RPD, I was definitely channeling my inner RPD on that one. For sure. I may not ink this at all. I may just freehand this. Depending on how these highlights come out, I may not even bother to ink it. Look, all I'm saying is once you've purged the so-called morals of so-called good taste and learned to love bad things for what they are, there's so many worlds. Yeah, exactly, right?
Right?
RPD, I don't think I told you. I have tickets to see The Room, like with Greg Sestero, coming up in September. Very exciting.
Neat.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And Waves of Madness comes out, or I think we have like the announcement of when it comes out next week. J-Tro's been hyping it, so we'll have to do some kind of watch party.
That's the next FP movie.
It sure is. Okay, get this. You ready? It's Call of Cthulhu meets Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
I'm so into that. It's not even. I think it's Assassin. Oh no. No, it's okay. No, it's J-Tro's take on Call of Cthulhu. I think at some point it had Assassin's Creed leanings, but I am so there for it. It's not even funny.
Just wondering if to have sappy techno and upbeat techno.
Oh, we discovered a new type of techno the other day. It was. I don't even remember what it was. I meant to text you. I'm so sorry. I forgot about it. Greg, have you seen FP3 and 4 yet?
No.
Oh, God. Okay. So you're behind, my friend.
That's a word you could use.
And you know, J-Tro was in the Foo Fighters movie too.
Neat.
Yeah, he had a brief cameo. And like, so I spent the whole movie like, as much as I love Foo Fighters, I was like, oh, I gotta watch for J-Tro, and I found him, and he and John Carpenter drive away in like a beautiful car, like an old muscle car, right before the killing begins. And I was like, and I texted him, I was like, Fridge Boy lives! And he goes, hell yeah, he does.
I need to find a way to get my copy of Fate of the Elder God to Richard.
Yeah. Matt Kroll was saying that
I'm sure Kirkman will be back.
Oh yeah, Kirkman will be back eventually. I mean, Richard signed my Tui, and I'm much happier about that than I am about, or much more concerned about having that signed than Fate. Much as I love Fate, it is, I would say it's my favorite game that I've worked on in any capacity. Arkham is the OG, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, if I were to get, actually, if I were to get anything signed by Richard at this point, it might be my Arkham 1E.
That you found a copy of.
I sure did. We played it. My students and I played it. We had a great moment where my buddy, my student Jaden, he just kind of wrapped his head around the game. He's a little, you know, further along than everybody else, and he's like, oh, now I understand like what I'm capable of and what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to go kill these maniacs. And I was like, oh, I see. Okay, like it was a next level strategy that I hadn't seen yet. I would have seen it very shortly, but like, you know, the point is moot. That's when the narrative started coming together for the students, and we had Joe Diamond. I can do better than that. Joe Diamond, murderer.
Someone's got to put down the maniacs.
Right? All right, so...
I'm trying to remember how you have to close all the gates, right? That's how you win that one?
Yeah, it's... you have to close... It's the close victory, basically. You have to close all the gates and... oh, there's no gate trophy, so yeah, it's just close all the gates. Were you there when I decided to flex how many games I've taken out this year? I think I might have missed that, RPD. Oh, that's right. You win by buying the car.
Poor Jamali.
Poor Jamali. He came so close. So close. I just couldn't put it over the edge.
We had some lot of fun with that game.
We sure did. And Buffy too, like that was a stroke of genius.
Buffy was good.
Briefly. I wish there was more content to it. Because once we sorted out how that game worked, we were like, oh yeah, we're never gonna lose again.
Yeah. There were some tight moments, but it's still a solid game for being an IP tie-in game.
Yeah. I can't remember who was talking about it. Probably Matt Kroll. But like IP games tend to not be very good, as we discovered with Far Cry. Like when even the senior buyer is taking poops on it, that game's doomed.
Yeah, there's definitely take note. Unlike the awesome success that was Compile.
Dude. So, yes, we did finally lose a game of Arkham Horror Tech 2nd Edition at Gen Con. And I chalked that up to two different things. One, Jacqueline was being completely unhelpful. And I will, like, straight up call her out on that. Her behavior was not helpful. But, like, whatever. She's having a good time. And two, we were definitely very drunk. Or, no, you know what? We had pretty much come down from it at that point. The thing about Kilroy's, they advertise, like, their 4-shot Long Islands. They're really not that strong.
No, they've got lots and lots and lots of them, but...
They're yeah. And, like, probably for the best, because it does enable you to have more than one, which is kind of nice. I think my record is 3 in one night. It's not that high.
Jeez.
That was the night that Jay Handel treated us to Kilroy's before we went to Tappers. And boy, that walk was necessary that night.
Oh, God, imagine.
You know, and I also, like, Kilroy's, the Long Islands are great And the pizza breadsticks are wonderful. The rest of their food is kind of whatever.
Yeah, it's really mid. It's bar food. It's not overpriced, but it's not anything you're gonna write home about.
Right. And like after you've eaten the pizza breadsticks, you're like, I don't know that I want this either.
Right? Yeah. Those are a meal unto themselves.
Absolutely. Did you have there was like an Italian ones
No.
during Gen Con? Oh, they were fantastic. It was the breadsticks of the month. And they were really, really, really good. Alex won, and Alex Ford and I had a plate of those to ourselves, and we were like, oh wow, these are special.
I must have missed that. Damn.
Yeah, they were special. They don't hold a candle to the pepperoni ones, but they were very good and unique. Like, we needed something unique. All right, base coat.
If you're only in town, every couple now and then, it's much better to get something different.
Yeah, exactly. And, don't get me wrong. I definitely helped myself to a pepperoni one as well. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I actually came close to my record on Long Island's this time, too. Because Megan did not finish her second, and I did. Because Waste Not, Want Not. It was not good. It was the H2O one. And like we all tried it, and we're like, wow, this is really not very good at all. And we were all like trying to figure out what it tasted like. And of course, most of us sitting there were from New England, so we were, trying to make New England references the whole time. And I said, you know what this tastes like? The Tomb of Weston Kanye. And they were like, most people were like, what? And Alex was like cackling. He's like, yes, that is exactly what it tastes. It tastes like bilge from the Charles River. And seagull poop.
Not. Oh, I did. Okay. I have been introduced to that building right before everything went crazy.
Yep. It is a gosh darn miracle that we all escaped from PAX East 2020 unscathed. Like,
and apparently there was some sort of medical convention that was also in Boston at the same time.
Yeah, it was at the
Seaport. That's where the first case in Indiana came from.
Yep. What a ridiculous weekend. Nerds shall inherit the earth. Purely because we're just gross, nasty animals.
We were all like, we're not touching anything at all. Just no.
Except we did. Like, we were. That was the year of the diabetes.
Yes, but we didn't touch it. We drank it.
rather than putting our hands in it, we just put it right into our gullet. 12-baller hydrochloric acid. It'll take care of anything.
None of us got sick.
Somehow. We're just preserved by Wild Bill's soda. Oops. That's not going well. Yep, that one will live in infamy. Oh dear. Did I forget to... Oh no. I sure did. I forgot to rinse this brush. This brush is farted.
Oh no.
Maybe not. Hold on. Can I bring it back? I've got brush, so if I can bring it back, it's not that big a deal, but... Yeah, I brought it back. Well enough, anyway. It's my brush that I use exclusively for basing, so it's not. I'm not worried about it.
Was there anything at Gen Con you were excited to see?
Not especially. Like, Russ and I were talking about this. We felt like it was a bit of an off year, in terms of big launches. I mean, obviously, like, I've always felt that Greater Than Games is kind of on the opposite end of those big off years. Like, we always seem to drop a big product on the years that nobody else is. Yes. Remote error, correct. Yeah, so there really wasn't a whole lot that I was like writing down as, hey, Mike needs to get this. Well, I wrote down a couple of things though. Oh, okay. So the Umbrella Academy game, which was like kitty corner from us, there's only like 6 minis in it, and I was like, okay, I could probably paint in that style. That's kind of neat. And Get Bit, like, I want to see Get Bit in our store, because it just it was cool.
Why that didn't? I mean, I can see why it didn't do good on Kickstarter, but it's a solid little game.
It is, but I think, a lot of people have it, and a lot of people have a certain expectation from it. But once I put that sign up, or once Bruise Guy put the sign up that, credit where credit's due, it was my idea, but he executed it. The sales went way up. Yeah, I had the idea for the sign. You were the one that made it happen. So, I'm giving you credit on that one, man.
Yeah, I was just like filling in for a friend on a game night he does, and they're like, "Hey, do you have a quick little party game?" I'm like, "Yes, I do."
You play Get Bit. Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. That's how it goes.
I brought Compile, but no one wanted to play.
But that's not like it. Compile's a tough sell at like when people are expecting something light.
Yeah, well, that was just for the regular night. But they're
okay,
like,
gotcha.
Half an hour. What do you have a quick little party game? Like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
I brought Get Bit because I knew you got, because they usually come about half an hour in and they leave a little bit early so they have to walk home. I'm like, I brought this. I knew you guys were going to ask about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I promptly got eaten.
Nice. Oh, that's the tick you mentioned. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it serves you right. So Bailey in infinite heroicism has already dispatched 4 copies of Compile to my school.
Yay.
I'm so excited. And the students are too. One of those copies will go to my Compile champion from last year. She deserves it. She's been waiting all summer. But like, she was literally counting down days until August 1st when she could buy Compile. And I just kept telling her mom, don't let her buy it. She's got one coming. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, I was just ready to give her my copy. And when I talked to Bailey was like, oh, no. We'll send one for Brooke and one for, and 3 for the school itself. I was like, yeah, perfect. That's dope. All right.
Yeah,
in hindsight, I am going to slap a little Nolan oil on this. Just to get some of the deeper crevices.
So I explained the game, and I'm like, all right, now traditionally, you leave all the cards face up, but you could play face down. They're like, oh yeah, let's just play face down. I'm like,
no.
All right, if that's how you want to play.
Okay, fine.
And then 3 turns in, they're like, oh, this was a mistake. I'm like, you picked it. This is what you wanted. I won't say they purposely conspired to get me my last limb taken off, but
here we are. about to do another technique on this that I don't use very often, but when I do, I really like the results. And that is dry brushing. I don't tend to love dry brushing in most cases, but when it comes to models like this, it does seem to get the best results. So. But we need to wait a minute because this ink is going to have to dry. Almost added melon oil because I spilt it a while back.
Oh no!
Yeah, I have to go to the store and get more. I almost bought some when I was at Jetpack the other day, and I was like, I don't want to do that. Ended up buying Iron Fist number 4 instead.
One of those would have been significantly cheaper.
No, actually. Iron Fist number 4, while it is an awesome issue, was only $5.
Yeah.
So actually, the melon oil would have been more expensive. There's that done. Let's get a little Agrax. I also want to do oversized get bit. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think we should put Greg in a left shark costume.
I would absolutely jump at that.
I still think we need to make a custom King of Tokyo character of the Bonzi Buddy.
A Bonzi Buddy? Yes.
And have you in that suit.
I would absolutely sign up for that. Yeah, that's right up my alley. I love King of Tokyo. It's such a great...
It's a great little game.
I'm not a huge fan of King of New York. I think it adds some stuff, it takes away from the simplicity that is King of Tokyo.
Right, yes, agreed. I like some of the characters from King of New York, but King of Tokyo I think is just a better game.
There's a duo version that we produced, wasn't at Gen Con, right?
Yes, to the first part. I don't know if it was... Yeah, okay. Bruce Guy says yes.
I need to look into that, because I'm a huge fan of two-player games.
The problem that I have... Duel wasn't the Gen Con, okay. The problem that I have with... From my perspective, with my job, with my responsibility at Gen Con, anything that's outside of GTG and Synapsis, I don't have any perspective on whatsoever.
Right.
Because it's just not even in my field of vision. And even Synapsis to a lesser extent. Like, Rallyman is cool, and I really wanted to learn it because I love rally racing, but I did not have an opportunity to. I was just way too focused on Compile. I knew that was going to be our biggest seller by a wide margin, and a Battle Yahtzee. And I just, like, I had promised Jules, like, I'm going to sell you out of Compile, or come as close as I can. And 73% of success, I will take that. That is a passing grade.
For a game that is brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some talk about it, but it's brand new.
Yeah. New
IP, technically.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it an IP, but yes. I mean, it is an IP, but like, yeah, I see what you're saying. And Kevin Krieger was saying that we had an 80+% upsell rate, which is absolutely unheard of.
Oh, to grab the expansion.
Yeah, the mat was only like a 40%, but that's huge.
Yeah.
Yes, that's something I try to run really close to the vest. Bruce Guy is like, I want, and I think most demoers have an understanding that that's preferable. It's always better for the demoers to be able to judge a game once it gets going rather than playing it themselves.
You can't see my head vigorously nodding.
Right. It just, like, that's... it's for a number of reasons. I mean, it's easier on your voice, first of all. You can shift your attention to support your fellow demers around you. So like, you know, I would rely very heavily on Greg, especially. Like, I know that if I have to be over putting out a fire over on the Yokohama tables, I know I can rely on Greg, on Shannon, on you to cover the table next to you as well, if necessary.
Yeah, and if you're not playing, you can get your two people there going, and then grab people randomly and say, all right, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
They know what's going on. I'm just watching at this point. I can steal you.
The elevator pitch is also crucial. Most of my job involves elevator pitching games. In you know, obviously I'm doing management stuff for the most part, but like, I know the elevator pitch on like, I don't know, probably 100 games at this point, most of which I don't even need anymore because they're things like laser riders that we don't sell. I miss laser riders, bro. I miss laser riders so much.
That until I run out of room will always be in the traveling library, if for nothing else than the, hey, what is that box?
Yep. Yeah, RPD is Captain Elevator Pitch. A fair amount of what I do comes from things I hear him doing. So, do you remember the year, Greg, that we were selling? It was an early Spirit Island run, and Ellie and I were keeping track of how many times we upsold.
Yeah. Speaking of somebody else who needs to make it back out to Gen Con.
I've been bugging her for years. Unfortunately,
she made it out at my wedding, which was amazing.
Oh, did she? I knew she was trying to, and I obviously I wanted to, but you know, that was not a year I could do it.
Yep. But no, Russ and Andy kind of just grabbed her, and she's like, "Hey, people I know."
Yeah. Okay, this mini came out way better than I expected it would.
Yeah, Kay was like, "Your cousin." I'm like, "My cousin?"
I'm trying to find something on my table that's like worth working on while I wait for this to dry. Actually, I got some goblins up here that need their feet done. I started doing them on stream a while ago for exactly the same reason as I'm looking now, and I completely forgot to do their feet. And of course, you may be asking yourself, Zach, why on earth are you grabbing a pot of brown paint to do goblins? Well, they're not actually goblins, they're hobgoblins. And hobgoblins have a brown undercoat to make them look sickly.
Yep.
Obviously, I will eventually put a goblin green layer over that, but I have not gotten to that point yet. It's not. There's more than 4 of these guys, isn't there? No, there's 3 because they're. Yeah, I know, right?
They don't deserve
Chaos Dwarfs. Chaos Dwarfs are awful. Like, they are the worst of the worst. They literally, like, if you are not Chaos Dwarfs, and sometimes even if you are, they will just enslave you for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because it pleases their goat god. At least according to whomever happens to be in charge of the slaving that day. I'm sure it will sound like any other baseball flying through the air, RPD. Yeah. Hit us, RPD. What's your latest elevator pitch? So I did finally start playing Pokemon X while I was on the plane home from Gen Con. Liking it so far.
This is where I show my age and go, if it ain't Gen 1, get off my lawn.
That's kind of where I am traditionally, but it was one of those situations where I was like, you know what? I haven't played it. It exists. I'm going to give it a shot. And it's not bad. There's a couple of things that I'm just like, this is stupid. But whatever. The core gameplay loop is the same and familiar. And I think that's part of what it was. Is like my options on the plane were fairly limited. I installed a bunch of stuff on my phone. I mean, definitely not playing Nintendo games on my phone. That's not a thing. Can't do that. That's illegal.
Absolutely. You shouldn't do that. No.
Actually not illegal, but you know what I mean.
That's for the podcast.
Yeah. And I was like, I need something like I could do Super Metroid runs. That's fine, but I do that all the time. Like, I need something else that's familiar enough that I can it's just mindless, but is different enough to keep me engaged because I'm sitting in an airport forever.
Right.
So Pokemon had my back there. And like, as you say, you know, we're old enough that Gen 1 is god tier, and that's all we want to hear out of anybody ever. Where I loved Arceus. I really did. That is a fair point, Bruise Guy. I did genuinely love Arceus. But anyway, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so yeah, Pokemon just was the answer there, and it's fun. But I did at one point. I think you were with me actually because it was PAX East. I bought Pokemon Green version.
Yes.
And I think you were the bad influence responsible for that one. And I beat it. I did it. Without being able to read a single word of Japanese, I have completed that game.
Yeah, but again, you don't really need to.
Correct. Because we've played those games so many times.
No, I haven't really done much video gaming recently. I mean, I have a Valheim server that some friends started, and my middle child's like, hey, this is fun. I'm like, you know what? Sure.
Yeah. I've been playing Axiom Verge on stream, which has been wonderful. Tom Happ is an absolute legend of the Metroidvania genre. Like, the dude just understands Metroidvania. But I want to come back. I want to finish Metroid Prime. I really want to finish Metroid Prime. I'm one boss away. I'm fighting the Prime Metroid right now, and I just can't be arsed to turn the Switch on. Like, it's really bothering me because every time, like, I'm just like, I don't want to pull the screen down. I don't want to do the thing. I don't want to wait until Katie goes to bed. I'm just gonna go play Hades instead. So I'm playing a lot of Hades lately. Hades 1. I've not. Adam and I agreed that Hades 2 is one of those games I want to wait until. Yes, I could play it right now. It's in early access. That'd be fine. But I'd rather wait until it's fully out and fully polished and fully ready to go. After I played 30XX in early access, I was like, there's enough content missing from this that I don't. There's bits I'm not enjoying, and I don't want that to be the case with Hades too. And I saw some guy on the plane playing Hades 2, and I was like, man, there's some just. I'm glancing over this guy's shoulder, and I'm finding things that are unpolished. Like, no, this is worth waiting for then.
Yep.
So I'm glad.
The other game that I got into, my sister was showing off Cultist Simulator. I'm like, I can try this.
Yeah.
That's a job. Speaking of homework, the video game.
Yeah, right. I need to finish out AC Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, okay. I need a good Gauntlet Dark Legacy remake. Yeah, that's fair. I'm waiting for an RPD. I'm not ignoring your elevator pitches here. So hold tight. I'm waiting for obviously Metroid Prime 4. That's huge. I've not played 2 and 3, so I need to do that first. But
Well, I don't know that needs the right word.
well, I need a remake of a remaster of those on Switch. I'm certainly waiting for the new Zelda. Like, holy moly. I love that 2D top-down aesthetic. And yeah, I understand that they've cherry-picked a bunch of stuff from Breath Tears, which I hate, but like, I don't care. It's still so much closer to my definition of Zelda.
It's a return to form.
It's a return to form that I need. All right, so RPD says, if so, would you prefer this is Tabletop Mad Science? Wait, hold on. Would you prefer the This is Tabletop Mad Science, but it just might be mad enough to work version, or the This is Tabletop Mad Science and you're on Thin Ice Mister version? After okay, so okay, so you've given me both. I'm wrangling the worldwide wrestling engine into being usable to simulate children's card game anime. I'm trying to make a garage-built version of a children's card game anime simulator system that already exists. I like both of those. I've ended up heavily playing something of a Match 3 RPG puzzle game, Gems of War. I think Magic the Gathering meets Bejeweled. Okay, so Magic the Gathering meets Bejeweled is actually a thing. That actually exists. It's like Magic Puzzle Quest or something like that. It might still be on my phone. Hold on. It is called Magic Puzzle Quest. I was right.
Puzzles and Dragons?
No, it's called Magic Puzzle Quest. And RPD got me a couple of Match 3 games for Christmas a couple of years ago that were really, really cool. They're like steampunk, weirdy stuff. I really enjoyed them. It was one of them. I can't remember what it's called, and I'm not going to look at the moment, but I'm sure RPD can tell you. Okay, dry brushing time. I need a dry brush. Here's a brown or dry brush that I would use for brown.
Yeah.
All right. That was easy enough. Ironcast. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, you're right. It's a Match 3 minimum. Ironcast was great. Really, really enjoyed it. That was maybe the best RPD game that No, that's not true. Sucker for Love was definitely the best RPD game that RPD has gifted me to date. Yeah. At its core, it's got Match 3 elements, but it's a very fun and clever game that I'm a fan of. This one, this. Dude, you know I love Metronomicon, but I don't have the hours to put into it. I do love that game. That is like, I would say. So what have I said? Ironcast, Sucker for Love. Yeah, Metronomicon is a very, very close third. I really like that game a lot too. I still listen to the soundtrack very regularly. All right. I believe I will spend the last few minutes doing a little bit of edge highlighting just to really punch this one up. Oh, no, yeah, completely. It does. It asks you to try, and you really have to like pay attention to the strategy. It's that game is no joke. It's great.
Yeah, that's how Cultist Simulator was. It's like, yeah, I can turn away for a couple of seconds. Nope.
No, you cannot. Yeah, no. Metronomicon's great. I really am a big fan. Oh, good. My parents made it home safely.
Yay! That's always good to hear.
Yes. All right. A little teeny tiny brush here. Too light. That's better. There. Now, part of my problem, and I say this to Broody all the time, and like, part of the reason I haven't finished Metroid Prime is every time I sit down to do it, I'm just like, this is, I just rather play Super Metroid.
Yeah.
And that's not like I don't mean that as a diss on Prime, because it's a wonderful game. It's not the way I was taught to play Metroid. And like anytime, you know, I watch Oats and Goats, the world record speedrunner of Super Metroid, and he's like, oh yeah, Prime Metroid is amazing, and I'm like, it is. I agree with you, but like I would play Dread over that. I'd play Fusion. I have played Fusion over that.
It also suffers from some of the GameCube problems of just the map of the controller, unless you use a different controller.
True. I mean, well, I played it on Switch, so I did not. I say this every time I go live with my other show, but I did not grow up with video games in my house. So I was left to playing games at friends' houses, which like now in my life, I'm like, oh, I actually see my parents' logic here. We spent most weekends, if we weren't doing family stuff, we were with friends. So why would my parents waste money on video games when we're just like any opportunity we get, we're just at our friends playing them? We can save that money and go on fun vacations and stuff. I'm like,
see, I was the friend people come over to play games with.
Well, I count myself very lucky that my parents had the foresight to say that. In the sense that you control the game by playing the game within the game. In this case, you control the RPG part by playing the match 3 game. Yeah, It's not the way I was taught, and you give those who teach. Wait. And you give those who teach you what something, or perhaps unhealthy degree of reverence. I was telling I went in to meet my new boss yesterday. We have another new principal, and she seems wonderful, by the way. She seems very supportive. We were talking about how I run my classroom, which tends to be a little perceived as a little unorthodox, especially by older administrators. They see a library and they expect quiet, and I'm like, no, that ain't me. And I said, a lot of what I teach isn't so much how to use technology, it's when not to use technology.
Right.
Because there's huge benefit to that. If you know when not to use it, then the time that you spend when you actually can or should becomes a lot more directed, focused.
Special.
Yeah. So, here we are, my 8th graders building this arcade cabinet, and I had the foresight to come into that meeting armed with the blueprint that they made, or more accurately filled out. We started with just a cross section, like a cutaway diagram of a arcade machine, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna bring this to the meeting. Like this makes sense, and I could show her, like, this is what we've done. This is what we are doing. This is our goal. We would like to make the world's first Super Metroid arcade machine, to the best of our knowledge. Like, we did Googling, we couldn't find one. And she was super supportive to it. It's getting late, but at some point I think we'll have a little bit of verbal textual sparring over our different perspectives on reverence and those who taught us. Yeah, well. Yeah. Maybe. But I gotta seal up this base. Get back to the Marvel shenanigans next time. I did have black, I don't anymore. I see you've been using red paint at some point tonight.
Yeah.
Has your paint water been? Has your paint water turned the universal color of paint water?
It's mostly blue. But that's
really?
Yeah.
So Broody and I have this theory about paint water that over time, if you continue to use the same paint water, it will eventually approach the universal color of paint water, which is red, for some reason.
Yeah. Well, red pigments tend to stick out.
Yeah.
But no, one of my coworkers, this was his Christmas present to me, was the Zelda gold cartridge mug.
Yeah.
And the handle promptly fell off. I'm like, well, hey, makes a decent paint mug.
Yep. I backed the Green Stuff World Kickstarter for the Max Darth paint, and it came with the I call it the brush toilet, because that's literally exactly what it is. It's off camera. I'll see if I can twist my camera around in a second, but yeah, I don't think I can. There it is. Sort of.
Neat.
Come on. I just had it. Nope, that's not helping at all. Hold on. Yeah, I can't get it on camera properly, but you may have seen it briefly as a Chaos Sport falls off the table. Basically, you rinse the brush and you press the flush knob and it brings new water out of the reservoir.
Or yeah.
It's pretty dope. Yeah. Well, it's not often that I get a character completely done in one sitting, but I am not disappointed with how Talon came out.
Not at all.
I think that looks pretty darn cool. Let me see if I can get. There we go. There's some detail showing through. Actually, I wonder. Hold on. The white balance on the camera might be such that I need this.
Yep.
It's not too much better, but no, that's just off camera. I don't know. He's there. He looks good, I think. I can understand if you or Adam get annoyed with even the things I love. All right, hold on. I can understand if you or Adam get annoyed at how even with the things I love, I always keep things at arm's length. Always willing to move on and say, I love it. It's not great. It's a misunderstood masterpiece, but I love it. Dude, I fully get that. Uh-oh.
Yeah, don't be ashamed that you like something.
Exactly.
It's not as much as someone else.
Exactly correct. There we go. Oh, now you can see it. I'm very fond of that. I'm actually going to go ahead and do...
Do a screen capture.
I sure did. All right. Well, with that, we are going to call it for the night. Greg, thank you so much for filling in for Broody. I really appreciate that. And we will continue to get you on as available.
Start picking up brushes again.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. This has been an absolute blast. It's been great talking to everybody. I'm going to try to be back on Monday. I once again have the kid by myself while my wife works the evening. So I'm hoping that Kara will allow me to play Axiom Verge. But if she doesn't, you'll know why. And again, and then Friday we should be no problem. I'll have stories to tell from the first 3 days of school, so that'll be cool. And then Saturday we're off because I'm going to be at a concert. So take care, everybody. Be safe, be well, and take care. Bye.